2, 1, and we are live. Hopefully my video camera populates. I don't see it on that screen, but we're going to go for it anyways. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to Weather Center Live at 8 p.m. We have a lot to talk about tonight. Welcome, folks, on TikTok. We're going to be talking all about this. Pardon me for my TikTok viewers if I'm off to the side. That's the unfortunate reality of not having 10,000 followers just yet. Shameless plug, if you guys can help push this page out there so we can get to 10,000 followers. We're getting close. If we can get to 10,000 followers, we will definitely be able to stream simultaneously with YouTube, so please drop your comments on my TikTok, guys. I'll answer you as soon as I can. Welcome, my YouTube viewers. Welcome in, guys. We are definitely going to be covering a large variety of severe weather. We have an abundance of severe thunderstorms and special weather statement warned storms out there in central Texas. Oklahoma is really kicking off. We finally had a few tornado warnings ongoing out there. Southern Ohio, parts of West Virginia and Kentucky, even getting into the greater Virginia area, is under the gun for some special weather statements as well. Central and southern Illinois. So far, our forecast is verifying really well. Everything south, if not right along that warm frontal boundary, is where your threat is going to persist. We've seen a lot of convective initiation just to the south of that and well into that warm sector of our developing low that is currently pushing into northwestern Missouri. Out of Kansas, Kansas looks like it is a dead stick. Southeast Kansas is likely going to see bleed over from all the events that are occurring in parts of Oklahoma, and that dry line is igniting a little bit more than we were anticipating, I think. A lot of the models did not really highlight too much of that convective activity in Texas. Frida, we're going to talk about Missouri right now. Missouri, central Missouri, and southwest Missouri, just to the north of Springfield, headed towards central Missouri. Interior Missouri, south of Kansas City, Missouri, is under the gun for widespread severe thunderstorms. One singular cell headed towards the southwest Illinois border. A lot of the main action is occurring in Oklahoma and Texas right now. Weather Florida Man, welcome in. Zen, welcome in. Amanda Kirby, hello. Weather Florida Man once again. Mick and Marley, hello there. Alfalfa Bill Enjoyer, so far 2 tornadoes. Yes, so far, which is right on track. We were looking at a nocturnal threat for tornadic activity, and so far it is slowly but surely ramping up. That low-level jet is going to establish itself, and we're going to be talking about that here in a second. We're going to lean heavily on our analysis data. Don't want to look too much at models right now. Things are already unfolding, so we're not going to look at our models and obsess over them. We're going to look at our live analysis data. Super Charas, welcome in. Mick and Marley, here we go indeed. Corbin Butler, hello there. Good to see you. Gary, hey Naz, welcome in. Thanks for joining us, Gary. Chris Mizell, thank you very much for joining us. Thomas Dillinger, good to see you. Welcome back. Daniel Lawson, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Who do we have in TikTok? Cincinnati, Ohio is doing okay for right now. Cincinnati, Ohio, however, is right on that frontal boundary, that warm frontal boundary. And the problem with that means that we could have initiation as this stuff continues to push off towards the east. Eventually, as that warm boundary continues to lift to the north ever so slightly, that is where stuff is really going to ignite. I'll turn the camera over this way so you guys can see what I'm seeing. There you go. So let me get my Epic pen out so we can start to cover this. It's going to be a little difficult, guys. I'm going to try to bounce back and forth. That's the unfortunate nature of the beast since I can't stream to TikTok and YouTube simultaneously just yet. It might be difficult to see because we have a lot of storm spotters out there. In fact, let me see if I can turn that off so you guys can see a little bit better. Let's see. Where is my... Turn this off. That's not the one that I wanted. Let's go storm reports. Turn these off. For now, we'll turn them back on. And where is our spotter network? Let's turn the spotter network off. There we go. Much better. We've decluttered the radar. So I'll go ahead and highlight with my Epic pen. I'm going to use yellow. We had widespread dry line-induced thunderstorms firing through Texas. We have this line of severe and special weather statement activity moving through Oklahoma. Here's our new area really beginning to fire off through central Missouri and central Illinois, right along that warm frontal boundary. And then if you guys look just to the south of where our warm front is positioned, we've had some stuff trying to get going. It's a little further off to the east than we'd ideally like to see, away from our main conveyor of warm air. That's all been surging up like this, right around a high pressure that you can't see analyzed on this chart, but there's a high pressure out here that is helping to churn our moisture, churn our instability. This area is going to remain very ripe for activity. And what's wild to see is the fact that so far, a lot of our stuff has actually happened down here Not so much here. Now it is. It's finally getting up in there. Haven't seen too much for Kansas. Not a whole lot going on with Kansas, and our cold frontal boundary is getting ready to push through. The faster we can get that cold boundary through Kansas, the faster we're going to go ahead and close off shop in Kansas. There's not going to be a very, very sensible threat for severe weather. This is the area that we want to pay particular concern to, right in through here. If these thunderstorms down to the south can still self-sustain, as well as these ones along the leading edge of our frontal boundary, this area could possibly go tornadic. This area looks like it's starting to finally not dominate. It's starting to finally die down. This area is going to be our main concern, because what's going to happen is this low is going to deepen, and we're going to get even more low-level wind shear, low-level jet activity off to the south and east of our low pressure, and that's what's going to help to spin these thunderstorms, especially for our nocturnal tornado threat. And as you can see with where my arrow is drawn, this is a very crude representation, but it definitely looks like these could possibly start spinning as well. I believe we had one tornado warning down in through here so far. There is one active warning near St. Louis, Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, getting into Illinois. And there was previously a tornado warned storm, I believe, somewhere else on this map. I can't find it though. Let me go ahead and turn this way so I can see. No, not at 7:30. I'm definitely going live now. Definitely going live at 8 p.m. Snowstorm in Montreal, Canada on the way. Yes, as a matter of fact, on the backside of this low, we're going to have a lot of snowfall. It's a very, very, very dynamic system. Extremely dynamic. We have a bunch of severe weather out in front of it, and we have a ton of potential heavy snowfall out back behind it. And it's not going to be in too far of proximity to where all this severe action is going on. During a severe thunderstorm warning, stay inside, away from windows before a severe end ensues. Make sure to remove objects from a yard that can be easily projectiles for your and other properties. Yes, I definitely agree with that. Okay, so let's start diving into some of our analysis data. What about Pickerton, Ohio? How far into the north are you guys in Ohio? Because right now that warm frontal boundary is very, very far southern periphery of Ohio, which means that that threat is going to stay to the bottom southern border of the state of Ohio. We're not going to see too much lift to the north just yet. As we go through the night tonight, however, and we pick up a little bit more advection or movement of that air that I've used in some of my TikTok updates, that's what's going to help to bring that instability and that threat for severe weather further to the north. All right, I apologize, guys. You're looking at my screensaver right now. Let me go ahead and pull this up so we can start getting into some of the model data and looking at primarily our analysis data. Let's see. Let me just open this up. I don't know why my Google Chrome is being silly. All right, here we go. We're going to go straight into College of DuPage, where we can get a lot of our analysis data. That's what I want us to look at first and foremost. Let's go ahead and take a look at where our low-level jet potentially is. So you go to 850 theta E, go to our most recent analysis. All right, so we definitely have very, very, very good confluence right about where our thunderstorms are firing. There's confluent flow right in through there, confluent flow here, really good confluent flow over Missouri and Illinois. Starting to see a little bit of convergent wind flow down at the surface level for parts of Ohio, West Virginia, Virginia, Kentucky. Anybody in southern Ohio who's tuning in on TikTok, if you are not along that southern border of the state, you're okay for now. You got to give it a few more hours before we finally start to get a lot of that severe weather realized. Let's go to RAP Meso Analysis. I want to take a look at 850 millibars. Here we go. 850 millibar analysis. So low-level jet is not doing too much right now. It looks like we're getting some of the stronger winds to rotate around the backside or the base of our mid-level trough and our mid-level fronts and our dry line. So right now it seems like our greatest tornado risk is going to be up over Missouri and over Illinois. Wherever those thunderstorms get going, it looks like we have a 40-knot low-level jet through parts of Missouri and Illinois. Down further to the south into Texas, you get a little bit more of a robust backing of that low-level jet. However, it looks like there is a bit of an acceleration in the winds over Louisiana and Arkansas. So slowly but surely, that tornado risk is just going to continue to go up tonight. It's just going to take its course. It's going to unravel itself in maybe about another 2 to 4 hours. We're already slowly going downhill, but it's only going to continue from there. Let's see, surface to 400 bulk shear. So yeah, not too much shear out there just yet. Even the bulk shear analysis right now shows us that Missouri and Illinois, and then just further off to the east, away from a lot of our robust triggers, the things that get our severe thunderstorms, or I should say our thunderstorms in general, going. Lima, Ohio, Ash B, are you further into southern Ohio? Can't really look up point-based locations right now, so just kind of give me a little bit of a geographic landscape of where you are. Are you in southern Ohio, closest to the southern border of the state? Because if you're north of that, you're okay for now. You're not going to see very much happening just yet. 500 millibar vorticity. We don't have too much. See, honestly, this is not the most favorable upper level setup for this. We don't have too much vorticity out there, thankfully. What is our 850 millibar? That's not going to help us. Let me go to the rat meso analysis. This is what I wanted, the vorticity advection. Very good. So yeah, we're finally starting to get that shortwave trough to move through. As this shortwave, let me move over this way. As this shortwave right in through here continues to move further to the north for my folks watching on YouTube and TikTok, this area of positive vorticity, is just going to continue to move further to the north. That is your major shortwave trough right in through here that's still ejecting up towards the north and east, and you have a lot of really good upper-level winds across Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Indiana, Illinois. Southern Iowa definitely is seeing some of the action as well. I had a feeling that some of Southern Iowa was going to see some of the activity as well, especially given the positioning of our upper low and our surface low. 850 millibar dew points. It looks like most of our upper-level dew point, I should say our mid-level dew points, are most favorable off to the east as opposed to where we are now. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing that threat in Texas and southern Oklahoma beginning to diminish slowly but surely. Let me switch back to the radar real quick and take a look. See if we get another update here very soon. So right now, looking at the way our analysis data is positioned, it seems like our greatest area of thunderstorm and severe activity is going to be up and through here. Not a whole lot to happen down here because we don't have the ingredients in place just yet. We want to watch the progression of this low here depending on where it tracks, and if it undergoes what is called triple point cyclogenesis, that's going to change the rhythm of the game, and I do think is going to help to push our severe weather risk further to the east through Kentucky, Tennessee, the Carolinas, Virginia, and so on. So we shall see. We got to give it a little bit more time. Let me go back to the chat here really fast. I need to get out of Ohio is all I know. You guys have been under the gun for some severe weather up there in Ohio for a while. Speaking about tomorrow afternoon, Ashby, tomorrow afternoon, yes, you'll want to pay close attention. I don't really think we're going to see a lot of our threats get further up to the northwest portion of Ohio because I don't believe our warm front is going to be able to move itself up that far to the north. If it does, however, then that severe weather risk is going to go up with it. That's why if you notice every time I turn you guys back over to the radar, and same thing for my YouTube viewers, that warm frontal boundary is going to be more or less the denominator here. To the north, you're not going to have as much activity. To the south, where all that movement, that southerly flow is, that's where your advection and your convection are likely to occur. And I'll show you guys here real quick. I'll take you in, and we'll do a little bit of doodling before I answer a couple more questions. All right, so even for my YouTube viewers, this is your warm boundary right here, and I noticed earlier today that the analysis finally went from stationary to warm front, and what that means is it's slowly moving off to the north. So as you can see, we have severe weather here. We have severe weather right along the warm front. We have special weather statements and a new severe thunderstorm warning in Virginia, as a matter of fact, right next to this little stable wave along the warm frontal axes. And so what's happening here, if I draw in really big colored ink, we have all this southerly flow coming across the Gulf Coast, moving over the Appalachians, the Ohio, Mississippi Valley. And then what happens with your winds is as you get to the north of this warm boundary, they move and they come out of the east. And so the reason we have this point of contention through here is because not only do we have winds coming together, really good confluent flow as it's called, which means converging winds. The winds are doing this as they come together. They're pinching off, and the low levels, which causes that lift. And that's why your thunderstorms ignite. So if you're to the north of this boundary, not only are you out of your warm, severe sector, but you also have easterly flow, which means it's probably rotating back in from the northeast. You're not having as much instability, good ingredients for that thunderstorm mechanism to funnel in across much of this area now. However, into the day tomorrow, the reason I'm worried about you guys in the Midwest is because this warm front is likely going to lift to the north just a little bit more. And once that warm frontal boundary lifts to the north, that means all your severe weather activity is more than likely going to propagate a bit further to the north as well. For the last several days now on both my TikTok and Instagram updates, I haven't been too active on the YouTube channel, unfortunately. I apologize, guys. But I've been mentioning that wherever this warm front sits is going to split the states in half. I truthfully feel fairly confident that places like Chicago, Rockford, Kenosha, South Bend, Detroit, Michigan, Lansing, Michigan, Toledo even might not really see much in the way of really significant thunderstorm activity. We might see some stuff bleed over. Moderate level winds, moderate to heavy rainfall, some garden variety thunder and lightning, but I don't think our tornado risk and I don't think our large hail risk is really going to extend beyond the borders of, we'll say, the top 1/4 of Illinois, getting up towards Fort Wayne in Indiana, getting to the north of Akron, Cleveland, Ohio, Toledo. I don't think we're going to see our severe weather coverage go that far to the north. I think you're going to be more so in the more stable side of things, especially as that cold air tries to keep that warm front from moving any further to the north. We shall see. Obviously, things are going to change, and depending on the track of this low and how strong and how deep it can get, that's really going to help to determine how much of a punch that warm conveyor has. All right, let's go back and switch over to our analysis data again. Let's take a look at a couple more things before we start to deep dive into everything else. Let's look at our 1,000 to 500 thickness. Yeah, so the thickness lines don't show me that we're going to have way too much advection with this. Essentially, what our thickness shows is the thickness, as the name implies, of the atmosphere, how tall it is, how shallow it is. Shallow values mean we have colder air. Taller values indicate we have warmer air. And right now, our 570 line is still parked over Oklahoma and Arkansas, trying to ridge up through Mississippi and Alabama, which is why I think on day 3, Wednesday, we're going to have a bit more of a severe weather risk down here in the southeast than I think our models and Storm Prediction Center are alluding to. Very thankful that they finally expanded the risk area for tomorrow, Tuesday. They brought it far back down into the southeast, right up to the Gulf Coast line of Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, and the Florida Panhandle, getting into the Big Bend of Florida. And then I want to say that our mid-Atlantic states, North, South Carolina, Virginia, are also going to see a continuous potential for severe weather activity. Definitely going to see some moderate level thunderstorms, especially if our triple point low begins to form. And yeah, thereafter it's just going to spill over like a domino effect. All right, now finally, let's get into a little bit of the models. Let's do some very high-res model looking, some looks at the high-res model data. HRRR. We'll take a look at the HRRR first, and we'll look at the entire United States, because I do believe we're getting close to our 0Z time frame. So far, HRRR is doing a phenomenal job of highlighting where our threats are, and it does look like, yeah, see, even the HRRR, if you guys look on TikTok, I'll turn you over. If you look at what the HRRR is thinking, all through the evening tonight, the HRRR is even suggesting that it's going to be the southern halves of each of these states that are going to have to watch for your very strong storms. The northern halves, you're going to see some heavy rainfall, you're going to see some winds, but I don't think the severe weather risk is going to get much further north than this. And the HRRR shows these storms coming up like so, and then moving off towards the east. Now, the kicker here is whether or not this low will continue to move off in this direction, and if we get a secondary low to spin up like so. If that triple point low begins to form, that's going to re-intensify the potential of severe weather. Regardless of if we have cold air mixing in along the backside of it, our severe weather sector is definitely going to go enhanced for parts of Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and into Florida. That is definitely what's going to end up happening. And as a matter of fact, I'll switch over to tropical tidbits really quick. I didn't have much time to look, but I glanced at our 18 Zulu GFS, and even the 12Z GFS does a fantastic job of highlighting it. So there you go. This is as we wake up tomorrow morning. This is 12Z. Look at this really good low-level jet, but notice that our low is already kind of displacing itself. Here's our parent low that's hung up over the Midwest to lower Great Lakes, and then we have our triple point low beginning to form up. And then watch how the conveyor belt along the south and eastern side begins to suddenly strengthen over the next couple of panels. 1 and then 2. See that? And then by then, we have a really nice secondary push of instability, good mid-level wind shear, good low-level jet component on the southeast quadrant of it. And if I were to do a very brief synoptic analysis, here's our old mature parent low coming down towards a little bit of an occluded low, triple point low starting to form up at 850 millibars, and it's this low that we'll need to watch that'll keep our continuation of severe weather going. And this embedded secondary trough is what could possibly increase our supercell threat for Kentucky, Illinois, and Ohio, or not Illinois, excuse me, Indiana and Ohio as we go towards the back end of tomorrow and tomorrow evening. You go a little further in time and notice that as that low begins to really get itself going, you can't really see it too well at 850 because our dominating mature wave here, this is our mature parent low, our occluded low. Occlusion wrapping around like so back to our new unstable wave that's forming at the triple point of our fronts. And now look at how strong of a really good low-level shear component we have right up alongside our upper front, our 850 millibar cold front that's moving through the mid-Atlantic and the southeast. And even northern and central Florida will need to watch for a stray strong storm or two because of this shear component. And of course, we can't forget about our good old El Nino. El Nino is still an issue, and look at how strong our upper level winds are right over top the southeast. So I really do believe that our folks in the mid-Atlantic region and in the southeast are going to have to pay close attention to this as this continues to transpire off to the east, and that's going to be a big if we see that triple point genesis begin to take its course. Yeah, day 3 weather flow. Oh, yeah, there we go. Thank you. I just noticed that you were putting day 3 into the chat. So we'll need to pay close attention for my folks in here. Tomorrow, I should say throughout the evening tonight, after midnight, Central Standard Time and on is when your severe thunderstorm threat is really going to ramp up for the likes of Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. I've had a few people ask here on the talk. I do not think Michigan is going to be involved in this. I really do not think Michigan is going to see anything strong. Michigan, of course, depending on where that warm front sets itself up, could see some garden variety, just traditional thunderstorms. So you are going to get some winds. You're going to get some localized heavy rainfall, potentially a good lightning show, depending on where that freezing line is in the upper levels of the atmosphere. But Michigan, Wisconsin, further to the north into New York State, I really don't think we're going to see much in the way of severe weather. I do think Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and even further to the east thereafter, especially once that secondary low begins to form up, there will be a possibility of severe weather continuing on. Judy Toko is welcome in. 6 thick thistle sticks bringing a blizzard to New Hampshire Wednesday, Thursday. Oh, yeah, definitely. Will Atlanta be in an enhanced risk? No, I don't believe so. J2 Ace, Atlanta will not be an enhanced risk. I do agree with their level 2 risk. Absolutely. I think we really need to pay close attention to the south. And as a matter of fact, for everybody, not only on TikTok here, on YouTube as well, I'll go ahead and pull up the charts right now for Storm Prediction Center. So this is day 1. Day 1, as you can see, we have a widespread area of strong storms. I really do think that this may have been overblown, but at the same time, this is valid until tomorrow at 7 a.m., so it makes sense. It makes sense. My gut was telling me that the western side of this is where we were going to see a lot of our activity, and so far that is verified really well, with a little bit beginning to finally bleed into central Illinois, trying to get into Indiana as we speak. Day 2. This was something I was particularly proud of on Storm Prediction Center's part. I do think that this makes a lot of sense, and this extension all the way down through the Florida Panhandle, actually all of Alabama now is fully encompassed. Mississippi, eastern half. We got a level 3 risk up to the northern half of Alabama and Georgia. That makes a lot of sense as well. I do think that this is going to continue to trickle over to the east. However, if I'm not mistaken, day 3 doesn't have much. Yeah, see, day 3 really drops it off. I tend to disagree with this. I politely disagree with this. I think we should have at least kept the level 2 on here somewhere, especially as we continue to see strengthening of our unstable wave potentially over the northeast, moving off like this, as our deep occluded low back here continues to help funnel in even more cold air, while our low-level jet pumps in warm, moist air and unstable air, especially with some enhancement from the Gulf Stream waters. I definitely do not think today was overhyped. I do not think so. Just because we don't, I always say this every time, and this goes for my folks on TikTok as well, depending on who's watching. I don't ever think a severe weather scenario is overblown if we don't get one of the parameters or two of the parameters. If there's a threat for damaging winds, if there's a threat for damaging hail, life-threatening hail, if there's a threat for tornadoes, I don't ever think that anything is overblown or a bust or hyped if we see one thing not happen but two other things happen, or two things don't happen but one thing does. That is I would say it's a modestly verified forecast, and that's something we need to break away from collectively as a weather community, is telling meteorologists, telling folks who forecast that, oh, you busted because I didn't see a tornado, but you saw 60-mile-an-hour winds, 65-mile-an-hour winds, 2-inch hail. That is a severe weather verification. You don't need tornadoes are not the only area of severe weather that you need to worry about. And Supercharged, it's not skipping Georgia on day 3. This was something I was going to put in my TikTok update tonight, but I decided to edit it out because I just felt it was fluff. I wanted to get the main information there. But try to avoid looking at these charts as specifically day 1, specifically day 2, specifically day 3. Look at it as a looping panel of charts. That big blob of yellow, red, etc. is going to continue to move off towards the east. Well, so far there were 3 tornadoes today. It's only 8:26 over here. We don't know exactly how much of the tornado threat is going to pan out. So it was a bit overblown because it was cloudy. Their threat for severe weather in general is there. That's another thing you guys got to remember too, is the risk factors on Storm Prediction Center don't necessarily solely mean the confidence. The risk factors also mean, categorically speaking, where it is we're going to see severe weather. A marginal risk means we're probably going to see 1 or 2 severe storms pop up within a radius. A level 2 risk means we're going to see X amount of storms pop up in a radius. Enhanced risk and so on means we're going to get X amount of storms to pop up in a radius. And when we see enhanced or moderate, that means there's likely to see strong storms within a tiny grid box. There's going to be strong storms popping up left and right, left and right. And if I go back to our radar right now, let me pull the radar back up. I would say this is a very good verification. 3rd tornado warning now to the northwest of Tulsa. I would say this was definitely not spot on, that's for certain, but the moderate risk was definitely there. We had a full-fledged line of severe warned storms moving through central and northern Texas, which was an area I really wanted us to pay close attention to. This area has lost a little bit of its steam as it's merged together, but still multiple severe weather warnings as well as special weather statements. This area in Missouri getting up into Illinois was getting after it as well, so I would say it verified. In terms of the geographic area and how localized of a grid box we had, it verified. And I'd rather go above and beyond to get the voice out there, communicate the threat, even if it means we bust on a tornado, bust on this, bust on that, than undersell it and have more people impacted in a smaller time span, if that even makes sense. Luis Mora, welcome in. Thank you very much. Would you say 60-mile-per-hour winds classify as a tornado? No, I wouldn't. No. You can't use winds to classify tornadoes. You cannot use winds to classify tornadoes, and you can't, we're comparing apples to oranges now. Category 5 versus what's happening here, apples to oranges. To say tornadoes classified at 60-mile-an-hour winds, you can't use that. That's apples to oranges. There's so many different things that make a tornado. There's so many different things that make certain weather phenomena. We can't start splitting hairs like that. Alfalfa Bill and Joy, you're talking about the one that's just to the northwest of Tulsa? Let's go ahead and pull in there. What do we have in the chat here? I apologize, guys. Again, if you're watching the live stream on TikTok, it sounds like a shameless plug, but pump this page out there. I'm working feverishly hard to get as much coverage to my TikTok viewers and my YouTube viewers at the same time as much as I can. And I do personally think this is really dorky, having my phone here, my YouTube here. If I had enough followers, TikTok would give me the opportunity to merge the two together, and that is the goal for hurricane season and more of these severe weather events. I want to make 10,000 followers to give you guys a consolidated stream, a consolidated briefing to where everybody can join in the same chat, and I can moderate with everybody, because I feel so bad for TikTok and I feel bad for YouTube having to split myself back and forth, and I can't clone myself, unfortunately, so I'm doing my best. But let's get into Tulsa. Let's get into Hominy, Tulsa, Bartlesville. potentially strong tornado. Stillwater has a very powerful storm moving over it right now. Let's switch over to our high-res velocity. Central Illinois does not have much happening right now. Do you have an estimate of when it will actually hit around Richmond, Indiana? I would say anytime closer to 10 to 12 p.m., 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. Central Standard Time is when your threat for central Indiana and south from that point is going to go up. Right now, we're in our preliminary stage. If you guys have been watching my updates, I'd mentioned that we were going to have this happen in phases. We were going to see initiation here, big time initiation here, and then it's going to continue off from there. So right now we're still in our preliminary stage. This is going to be a multi-day event. For certain, this is probably going to bleed well into Wednesday. We might even see a small continuation on Thursday with some post-frontal activity. I'm not saying it's going to be a widespread setup late Wednesday into Thursday, but I would not be surprised with the slow progression of our low after it occludes and matures and pulls back into the cold sector of the jet. It's definitely going to take its time, and we're going to see this stuff linger for a while. This is amazing gate-to-gate shear. I'm going to turn the clock over, the stream over. Fantastic gate-to-gate shear right over Barnsdall and Winona. Osage Nation, Pawhuska, Ocalata. I'm probably butchering a lot of these names. Bartlesville. This is an amazing-looking supercell. That is textbook gate-to-gate shear is what it's called. We have very, very strong winds wrapping around on the inbound flow of this storm. Outbound flow of the storm is looking phenomenal. We have reached the maximum threshold on this radar as well with these inbound, outbound values. You can't go any higher than this. So extremely strong gate-to-gate shear. That is most definitely a tornado on the ground, somewhere right in through here. Definitely a tornado on the ground. Alfalfa Bill Enjoyer, confirmed. I would argue that this is likely on the ground. I would definitely say this is probably on the ground for sure. This is way too robust of a gate-to-gate signature to not be on the ground. If we switch back over to high-res velocity, there you go, right there. There's your bad boy, moving right into Barnsdall. There's your hook. Wrapping around, there's your inflow. In this case, outflow because of the positioning of the radar. This is your inbound returns. Really, really, really solid gate-to-gate shear. There's your twister somewhere right there, more than likely. Would not be surprised. Wonderful-looking hail core on radar. If we were to switch over to our VIL, we would probably see VIL values through the roof. Let's see, vertically integrated liquid. There you go. Extremely strong hail core. So this is definitely producing very, very big hail. Huge hail, in fact. This is the dangerous, life-threatening stuff that I had mentioned about. This is the stuff that'll hurt, if not kill you. That is 100% certain. So very strong, potentially damaging tornado out there in Oklahoma right now. Thankfully, it does not look like it's in a very, very, very densely populated area. The closest area that does seem to be very populated is going to be Bartlesville, and even then, that looks like a bit of a smaller town in comparison to Tulsa, that is just off to its southeast. We have another very strong supercell producing large hail just to the south and east, or south and west, of Stillwater, headed towards Perkins, Stillwater, Glencoe, Pawnee Nation. So lots of really, really good hail producers, and hail was one of the main concerns we had before this outbreak initiated. Another big cell just off to the west of all these areas. Again, rural though, very, very rural, just outside of Watonga, Kingfisher, Dover, Loyal, and Oklahoma. These are Oklahoma locations that I'm reading off to you guys. Let's see. Let's go ahead and switch back over to our composite reflectivity so we can get a better look at the broad scale, see what's happening in central Illinois. So central Illinois, you guys are sitting pretty right now if you're still asking. Central Illinois, you've got some flash flood warnings, which is going to also be an issue that we're going to face for the entirety of the evening into early morning hours of tomorrow, closer to sunrise. As these systems mix together, there's going to be a lot of rainfall that's going to fall at the same exact time. So even though it's not going to be severe warned, you're probably going to get some sporty winds off of it, 25, 30 miles an hour, 35 miles an hour. Doesn't need to be special weather statement, doesn't need to be severe warned. You're going to see the potential for severe flash flooding, especially for localized areas, neighborhood areas, urbanized settings, street puddling, street pooling, etc., especially as these storms more or less train over the same area. And what that means is you're going to have one batch of storms move through, another one's going to come through, another one's going to come through, and that's training, literally like a locomotive, just moving over the same area, piling and dumping water. What is a good weather app that you recommend? It depends on what you're looking to get out of it. What would you want to get out of a weather app? Because there's a few that I would recommend, but it also depends on the goals, what it is that you're looking to use it for. Brad Arnold is reporting a funnel in the storm to the west of St. Louis. This guy right here, that would make sense. This looks like it has a little bit of gate-to-gate associated with it. Let's switch back over to our single radar image, and we'll get a closer look. This is for just outside of St. Louis, Missouri, headed towards the border of Illinois. That's going to be in the cone of silence. We're barely going to be able to see it. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. That's definitely going to tornado. If they haven't thought about putting the warning out, they might want to put the warning out very soon. I'm pretty sure that is either beam blockage, ground clutter, or some sort of an issue with being so close to the radar. Let me see if I can get a different vantage point on this system here, if at all possible. If at all possible. Is that the same question that we're asking again? No, it's not. Let me know in the chat on TikTok what it is that you're looking to use a weather app for, what it is that you want to get out of it. Trying to locate a closer radar, or a better radar, I should say, that we can use out here in Missouri. Yeah, there's definitely really good gate-to-gate starting to pick up in that. Good rotational capabilities of that storm. Just outside of Wentzville, headed towards northern St. Louis. This will likely go tornado warned very soon, and I'm almost positive we probably have large hail, very heavy rainfall, and strong winds coming out of it. Yep, there's your hail core. Ville is off the chart in that one as well. And when I say off the chart for both my YouTube and my TikTok viewers, that just means we've surpassed the threshold for how much the radar can actually interpolate in terms of the values there. We're switching back over to our MRMS composite, so we can zoom back out. Got a new severe thunderstorm warning in central Illinois, headed towards the border of Indiana. So now Indiana is going to start activating. Like I had mentioned to you guys, as this continues to fire off and these systems move off towards the east and we finally get a full, that warm front is going. That warm front is definitely firing. Terre Haute, I believe is how you say it. I remember I learned that last time thanks to a TikTok viewer. Terre Haute is definitely going crazy right now. We have storms popping off and firing off of them all right now, right along that warm frontal boundary. Storms to the north in northern Indiana producing some pretty moderate to heavy rainfall, but they are slowly dissipating as well. Ohio is trying to get its act together, but you can tell that the storms that are firing in central Ohio, southern Ohio are not doing too good because they're south of the warm boundary. However, I want us to look at WPC here in a little bit because that warm front could have shifted and we just don't have a new valid analysis overlay to put up on this screen. That could possibly be an issue. You've got some pretty good severe weather action going on in West Virginia, that's for certain. Definitely some really good severe weather action going on down there. Let's go back down towards Oklahoma. Tornado warning is still in effect. Headed towards Bartlesville. That area is just continuing to wrap up and go crazy. Still have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings moving through Fort Worth, headed into Dallas, McKinney. Waco, Texas could possibly get a close shave by this stuff as well before transitioning to the backside of this stuff. This is going to be the song and dance all night. And if you look up over Michigan, Wisconsin right now, you can tell that this is all more so heavier stratiform rain. Not a whole lot going to be happening up here. I really don't think we're going to see anything in Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa. The threat is almost over. However, I wouldn't be surprised if southeast Iowa starts to see some severe weather action as our low drifts to the north. Do you know anything about Mount Vernon, Southern Illinois tonight? So Mount Vernon, I believe I was just looking at. Southern Illinois is doing okay for now. It's mainly just central Illinois, right along that frontal boundary, right along the warm front is where we're seeing a lot of initiation, a lot of stuff going on near Terre Haute, Charleston, just to the south of Decatur, Jacksonville, Illinois. The warm front is almost bisecting the state in half. If you guys look on TikTok, this is where a lot of your convective initiation is occurring. I'll draw it so my YouTube viewers can see it as well. You have a lot of stuff firing right along that warm frontal boundary. You have stuff up to the north, but there's just not enough instability for this stuff to get going. So again, right around in close proximity of this warm front is where you're going to see most of your severe convection, or I should just say strong thunderstorms going on. Couple different severe thunderstorm warnings in Virginia, West Virginia, and it actually looks like getting up towards the coastline of West Virginia, getting towards Delaware and Maryland. We have some stuff trying to flare up. I don't think that's going to be anything majorly concerning, but we actually have convection thunderstorms popping off, getting ready to cross the channel here between Delaware and Virginia. So that's very interesting. Ohio is trying to get going. Ohio, it looks like we might have already seen the warm front lift. We have development going on down towards Parkersburg, Lancaster, Chillicothe, I can't see the name, Chillicothe, excuse me, right in through here. It looks like we might have a little bit more of a kinking in our warm front. I'll have to take a look at our surface observations to get a better idea. In fact, let's do that right now. Let's go over to windy.com and see if we can highlight where our front is, because I know that overlay is going to be latent. We're only waiting for the updates, and that hasn't happened yet. Yep. So, yeah, warm front is definitely drifting to the north. You guys can see it right in through here in the wind flow. So that makes a lot of sense why we're starting to see that thunderstorm activity into southeast Ohio. Your warm front is somewhere right in through here, moving to the north. There's your low, and here's our cold front, leftover dry line moving through here, and there's our secondary front right in through there. And this is where all of our thunderstorm activity is going on. There's your southerly flow helping to move all that warm and moist air up towards the north. And then look at this system down over here. This is also going to kind of help to warp what's going on off the coastline and bring in that potential for strong storms. It's likely why we're starting to see some initiation out here, because we have that butting up against of the wind flow. Good low-level confluence in our winds. Arkansas, Fort Smith. Arkansas is doing okay right now. We don't have too much happening in Arkansas currently. Scrooge McDuck, welcome in. Good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us on YouTube. Let's see here. Let's go down to Arkansas just to do a quick sanity check. So, yeah, looking at the composite for Arkansas, there is nothing out there right now. You have some very, very light rain, maybe some drizzling going on near Pine Bluff, Little Rock, Hot Springs. Very familiar with Hot Springs, especially the last tornado event that occurred. Michigan is good. Taggart-Haynes, Michigan is good. Not a whole lot going on down there. Kansas is going to be okay. Kansas, you're going to have to deal with the extreme southeastward corner of that state is going to be under the gun for some severe stuff. That tornado warning storm, as well as a few other severe thunderstorms, are slowly propagating towards the northeast, headed towards southeast Kansas, but very soon you're going to be pinched off by that cold front, and that's going to help to stabilize and flush everything out. Lots of really good activity occurring in central Oklahoma, northeast Oklahoma for sure. How bad do you think West Tennessee is going to get hit? Alexis Parker, we'll take a look at that here in a moment. I do think Tennessee is definitely going to see some widespread severe coverage. It's really going to be dependent on how much of this stuff unfolds now and how much of what's called an air mass recovery we have. Because back behind this is also what could help to bring in some residual thunderstorm activity for parts of Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. While the northern quadrant of it pushes further into the northeast and stabilizes, we could see some stuff flare up back behind this first push of thunderstorm activity. And we'll look at the models before we end the live stream here in a little bit. How bad is Medina, Ohio getting on Tuesday and tonight? Tonight, you're going to have to watch closely. That warm front is moving off to the north, and that warm front, again, folks, is going to be a really, really good indicator of where your threat is. In close proximity to that warm frontal boundary, the red lines on your surface charts, to the south even more so, is where your severe threat is going to linger for sure. How are you, where you live? I'm in Central Florida, so I'm far away from the action. Otherwise, I'd be storm chasing this right now. We're going to see exactly what shakes out down here in Florida on Wednesday, but as of right now, we're just going to be hunkering down in the weather center providing coverage. We have an extension to that tornado warning in Oklahoma. Secondary issuance, extending it out. Kind of trying to go long duration, it seems like. But alrighty, folks. Yep, we got a severe thunderstorm warning still happening in West Virginia. Central Illinois, one severe thunderstorm currently active. Ohio is trying to get going, southeast quadrant of Ohio. So we're looking at Parkersburg, Lancaster, just to the southeast of Newark. Newark is trying to get into it. This is all east of Columbus, headed towards Wheeling, Ohio. The West Virginia, Pennsylvania border as well, south of Youngstown, Ohio, Alliance, Canton. We have a little bit of stuff trying to get its act together, but I do believe that we're still a little bit too far to the north of our warm front. Slowly but surely, as that creeps further to the north, that's when we're going to start to really build in those thunderstorms, especially with what we have igniting over Terre Haute in Indiana. It's trying to get into central Indiana. Slowly but surely, your threat is going to be on the rise. Key takeaways here: if you're in the Midwest, lower Great Lakes area, as we get further and further into the evening, you're going to want to watch closely. You'll want to keep your electronic devices charged. You'll want to find a way, or you need to cling to weather sources that are going to have the capabilities of keeping this live content going. I will only have the capabilities for so long. It's been a long day, unfortunately. And I just don't have the resources nor the time or the energy to keep this up going as long as I would like to, especially since I have a busy week ahead still nonetheless. Now let's start taking a look at some of our model data as we get ready to round out this live stream. We're going to come back over and we're going to start with the central states. We're going to look at the plains. We're going to go to our RRFS model. And let's see here. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? What do we want? Do the Reed Timmer challenge. Gotta be kidding me. 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 All right, so according to the latest RRFS, 18Z is coming in. We have a large majority of it already. So we are almost done down in Oklahoma and Kansas. Your threat for severe activity is going to diminish by 2 a.m. Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, your severe weather risk is going to continue to go down as we get past midnight and into 3 a.m. is when I'm calling it. That'll be the end of it altogether by 3 a.m. By that point in time, that's when a lot of our severe activity, our more robust activity, is going to be pushing into Indiana and Ohio. That is when your greatest risk is going to start to flare up. And then as the sun comes up tomorrow, we are going to see some backside influence moving through. There's going to be that secondary cold push, that secondary post-frontal trough is what's going to help to really ignite your severe weather activity. Max heating of the day in Ohio. So early in the morning, we're going to have our nocturnal threat. That's going to give way for a little while, and then max heating of the day around between 2 to 4 p.m. is when we're going to see reignition. We're going to have that secondary trough axis come through, and then we're also going to start to see our stuff really fire up into Tennessee. This is 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, getting into the Carolinas and the Southeast. We're going to start seeing stuff go off. The RRFS actually wants to pick up thunderstorm steam as it moves through central Florida. So Wednesday, middle of the afternoon, we might have some severe stuff moving through the central Florida peninsula. And I'm 100% on board with this. I don't know why Storm Prediction Center has brought us as far down as they have in our thunderstorm risk. HRRR echoes the exact same sentiments. HRRR is 100% on board with this. Tomorrow, around max heating of the day between 12 and 2 p.m., my Midwestern folks, is when we could see our second wave, our second round of bad stuff happening for Indiana, Illinois, Ohio. Michigan does not look like you're going to see much of anything. In fact, it looks like the HRRR wants to really quickly bring in that wintry precip and snow to the northern half of the peninsula before it finally mixes out altogether. Extreme southern periphery, as you're getting into the Great Lakes themselves specifically, might catch a grazing of some strong stuff, but nothing that I'd be really overly concerned about. And then even the HRRR, look at how much enhancement we start to see of these thunderstorms as they move through central Florida, North Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, Virginia. We're going to have to watch as that not only that secondary post-frontal trough comes through, but also as that main band comes through. And you can see at this point in time, this is middle of the day, 2 p.m. on Wednesday. Very deep occluded low over the eastern United States, over the Great Lakes, really spinning. A whole lot of snow up in there. Could have some mixed wintry precip, freezing rain, icing occurring in the northeast, right up along the Great Lakes. You are going to be in the cold sector of this puppy by this point in time. So your severe threat is going to have completely concluded. Severe weather is going to be out here at this point in time. And I really wish that they would reconsider keeping us at a level 1 risk all the way through the mid-Atlantic into Florida. I think we should at least go level 2. It's been proven time and time again that Even with the weakest of frontal boundaries, we suddenly have special weather statements firing up everywhere. We have severe thunderstorms suddenly firing up everywhere, and they refuse to go any higher. I don't understand why, but I definitely do think that we have a really good shot at seeing severe weather just spill all the way through the eastern half of the United States, minus the upper northeast because you're in the cold sector, but everywhere in through here has a good shot at seeing some isolated to scattered, moderate to severe thunderstorms. So anybody in that general region that I just painted on the screen will need to keep at least one eye open and take a look at what's going on. That is going to be my last little bit of prognosis here, or forecast, I should say, before we start to move into announcements and get ready to close out the live stream, because I still have things to do tonight, unfortunately. And before we wrap up as well, I just want to highlight, for the sake of the eclipse, we have another system that's going to try to show itself as we go through time. So into the following week, we have another system that's fairly weak over the northern plains, moving into the Great Lakes region. But then just shortly thereafter that, we have an even stronger system that could possibly bring back the severe weather potential for Dixie Alley, Southern Plains, Ohio, Mississippi valleys. So we'll have to continue to watch. It's going to be busy. April is a busy month. April is really where you have the clashing of wintry effects and spring effects, and they just come full contention. They duke it out right over the central and southern plains, the Midwest. We're going to be seeing this on a repetitive basis, I do think. As we get ready to, I'm back. Is there anything in central Illinois tonight? I've got some family there. So central Illinois is doing okay for right now, but as we go over the next few hours, 10 p.m., midnight, and then shortly thereafter that, we're going to see the worst of the conditions begin to settle in before we wane them off just a little bit until the max heating of the daytime can occur tomorrow between 12 p.m., 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. That's when we're going to get a resurgence of thunderstorm activity. You're going to want to have both eyes open, maintain your situational awareness, have a way to get warnings exactly, the cliche statements. And then we're tracking something for the middle of the month, 11 April. Gonna see how this evolves. We're gonna be live again tomorrow night, guys. We have a lot of content coming out here over the next rest of the year. Let's put it that way. So for my TikTok folks, please continue to drop questions in the chat. Drop questions on the latest post that I just put out as well. I will definitely get back to you. Same thing with my YouTube viewers, but we're going to get ready to call the live stream here very soon. Just wanted to throw a couple of announcements in there. First of all, we are going to start a continuation of this severe weather coverage tomorrow. That is a guarantee. Number two, because we are officially in April, we are finally going to start locking in. And I'm not saying speculating, theorizing. No, we are going to start locking in what the tropics are going to look like. We're going to lock those forecasts in. We have some big names getting ready to roll out their hurricane season forecasts. So it's time. So tomorrow, we're not only going to cover severe weather for the first half of the live stream, but we're also going to dig into the tropics, because from this point on, as we go now down within the 60-day threshold, that's when it's almost crystal clear what's going to happen. What do you mean the cap model? What do you mean Weather Florida Man, the cap model? So tomorrow night, if you'd like to join us on the YouTube channel, please feel free to join us. We're going to be deep diving into severe weather, potential future severe weather, and tropics. Tomorrow is going to be a bona fide second half tropics talk, where we're really going to look heavily at what our new model data shows, what our new climatology models show, and we're going to start getting folks like Colorado State University, the National Hurricane Center themselves, and other big-name tropical resources pumping out their preliminary numbers. And at this point in time, we are into April, ladies and gentlemen. There's no hype. There's no fear-mongering. We're in the final countdown now. It is April, and my gut and my brain are very confident that we are probably going to have preseason activity in May. So the clock is ticking. We have a lot of content coming out, and I'm going to be exhausted trying to get it out to you guys, but we're going to talk all about it. Brown, thank you very much for joining us on TikTok. Summer is looking hot. Summer is looking fierce. Summer is looking busy. That's for certain. So tomorrow evening, same time, same place. We're going to be live on the YouTube channel, talking tropics, talking severe weather. We have a lot to move through as we go over the next, we'll say, month and a half. Because as early as May, I'm going to start putting out dedicated tropical updates for everybody on TikTok and everybody on YouTube, everybody else. So yeah. Lots to keep in store. Let's go look one more time back at the radar before we round out this live stream. Let's see what we got out there. Indiana, yep, there they go. Indiana, they're firing up. We got a severe thunderstorm warning in central Indiana, just to the east-northeast of Terre Haute. Flash flood warning still in effect for central Illinois, but that one storm that's moving towards St. Louis is getting ready to cross the border. New tornado warning storm in Missouri. New tornado warning storm in Missouri, and that is a right mover, too. It doesn't look like it's going to last for too long, though. It looks like it's already getting back into the overall steering flow. But another tornado warning storm out there, so now we have an additional tornado warning ongoing out there. Still not outbreak criteria, but our severe thunderstorms are alive, and they're really kicking. Oh, no, we got another tornado warning in Fort Worth, so now we're starting to see it pop off. Tornado warning just to the south of Fort Worth, Arlington, Mansfield, Texas, southwest of Dallas. Tornado warning still in effect for Bartlesville, Oklahoma, northeastern Oklahoma. Now we have a new one into central southern Missouri, a new tornado warning out there as well. So, folks, if you want to continue to tune in, I will be dropping updates on TikTok. I will be dropping updates on YouTube. I will be dropping updates on Instagram. I'm going to do my very best to keep ahead of this and keep dropping static updates for you guys. And I know we have a ton of other reputable sources out there who are covering this as well. So if you decide you want to stay up past this point and continue to watch, continue. Definitely. Like I've said on TikTok and like I've said on YouTube, this is the point in time where you got to cling to your reliable weather sources. I'm not even going to do the classic cliche of, yeah, follow the channel, follow this. Like, yes, I'd love it. I'd love your support, but don't only stick with me. There's other sources out there that you can follow as well who will provide you with just the same type of coverage. We try to stick to the realism. We try to stick to the accuracy. We try to stick to the science here on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, X, etc. So, folks, I'm going to go ahead and leave you tonight. I know that there's still so much going on out there, but unfortunately, I just have prior obligations that I need to take care of. And then tomorrow night, we'll be back to it once again for another 8 p.m. live stream. We'll probably go overtime talking tropics, and hopefully we can get a better audience in here. We can bring some of you guys over from TikTok onto the YouTube, and we can get the TikTok merged with the YouTube eventually once we get the followers up, and we can also continue to grow YouTube because there's a lot of stuff that I want to roll out. I need to storyboard it. I need to finish storyboarding it and get it out to you guys sooner than later because Lord knows, the clock is ticking. But TikTok, thank you very much, guys, for joining us tonight. Please drop any comments or questions or concerns you have in my most recent post. Leave me a message. Shoot me a private message. I'll definitely get back to you. That is 100% certain. For my YouTube folks, definitely leave any questions, comments, or concerns that you may have in the comments section below, or drop me a message on my TikTok or my Instagram if you have the means of doing so. Drop me a follow on there as well. The faster we can get my TikTok to 10,000 views, the faster we can merge everything together and start creating even better, more fulfilling, and more thorough live streams. Woo! Without having to bounce back and forth and overexert myself. So I will be in touch with you guys. We'll see you again tomorrow. That is a guarantee. Thank you all very much for being such a wonderful audience. As always, both my TikTok viewers and my YouTube viewers, you guys are fantastic. How bad is it going to be tomorrow in Northeast Ohio? Northeast Ohio is definitely going to have to pay close attention. Ohio is likely to get it the worst tomorrow. Mainly early morning tonight, break, and then afternoon, early evening tomorrow is when we're going to see a surge in our thunderstorm activity once again. So if you are in Ohio, you need to watch very closely. We'll be covering it here on my YouTube, on my TikTok. We're going to be talking all about it. Oh, yeah, I love Ric Flair. Woo! I got to let one of those out every now and again. But all right, guys, we'll see you again tomorrow. That is a guarantee. We have a lot to discuss, a lot to go over, because let me tell you, I'm even thinking of doing a live stream on Wednesday, just going back to back, because there is a lot that I really want to cram in over the short period of time that we have. But YouTube folks, thank you guys for being a wonderful audience, as you always are. To my TikTok followers out there, I love you guys as well. Really appreciate all the genuine support and the followership that I've been acquiring on the TikTok. Lord willing, we can continue to push towards 10,000 followers. Thank you very much for your continued support in following my channel and entrusting me with your weather forecast or weather material. I'm always going to keep pumping them out daily as best as I can, no matter what the situation is. I'll try to bring you the most realistic and accurate forecast that I can, especially as I continue to grow in my naval weather capacity, in my civilian weather capacity. I'm just trying to get as much training education as possible, which, by the way, guys, shameless plug, I'm going to a meteorological conference, an emergency management meteorological conference later this month that I would love to bring you guys a little bit of content from as well. Very excited to attend that. I missed the National Hurricane Conference, but I will be attending an emergency management conference, which is hopefully going to give me even more tools to better equip you guys for preparedness, not only in severe weather, but for the tropical Atlantic season, for my coastal viewers, my Caribbean viewers, and so on. Like I said, I can keep going all night. I got to cut the streams, though, unfortunately. So TikTok, leave me comments, leave me messages. I will definitely get back to you. YouTube family, my weather community out there, everybody, thank you very much for watching. Please stay safe. Leave me messages, leave me comments if you have anything, or cling to another source who is still currently live who can bring you that round-the-clock coverage. I unfortunately just don't have the means of doing so, and I apologize for that, but we will, hopefully, Lord willing, very soon. But until next time, folks, TikTok, this is Weather Center Nazario signing out. And YouTube, you know the name of the game. This is officially Weather Center Nazario signing out.